everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Resident Rulebreakers. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And on today's podcast, we're discussing one of our favorite episodes of Season 1, Rude Awakenings and the Raptor, episode 112.
Before that, let's talk about the big news that came out. Biden won!
Yes.
We
have a new president-elect and vice president-elect for the United States of America.
History is that we got the first female vice president.
Not only is she the first female vice president, she's the first vice president of color.
She's the first Black vice president, first Asian American vice president. But yeah, so that's our happy news today. Me and Kayla are like literally, you can't see us, but we're dancing.
Yeah. 2021 looks to be way better.
I know, right?
So, Rude Awakenings in the Raptor was directed by James Roday Rodriguez. It's one of his episodes. And written by Michael Notarile.
Yep. As we talked about this episode extensively with both Malcolm and Stephen. You know, we talked about it a lot with Stephen, especially because this was his episode where he talked about where Bradley fell off the roof, and he talked about his thoughts of suicide. You know, he said that's still an emotional scene. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For people.
So, but before we actually start talking about the actual plot points of the episode, there were some BTS stuff released that released this week. Like there was a picture released by Guy of one of the directors of photography working on editing one of the episodes. So
yep.
You can see that one on our Instagram and our Facebook. And there was also a cast photo this week for once. Before the election night, the cast posted this photo of them wearing their masks and begging everyone to vote.
Yeah, they had but not all of the cast.
Not all of them, but you know, we had Matt and Emily and Manish, and then we had Tasso and Jessica and Denitra.
Yep. Yeah, so several of the cast members and pretty much most of the cast have been vocal about their stance on the election. So
we just wanted to bring that. Also, Jessica had a Zoom chat on Friday. I didn't. I was too tired from work to even think about doing that.
Yeah, I by the time I remembered about it, I forgot it was done already.
Yeah, but she did have a Zoom chat. There's a thing on our Instagram explaining it. I'm hoping that maybe they'll release information about it or a video from it.
Yeah.
But there was one. And then, so moving over into the episode, this episode, as you're well aware, introduces one of fan favorite characters, the Raptor, aka Dr. AJ Austin. And We've discussed this in depth with Malcolm. So if you haven't listened to Malcolm's interview or watched Malcolm's interview, you need to watch because he does talk about this episode. But AJ he's softened up quite a bit as we've continued on. But in this episode, he's very rough around the edges. And his bedside manner is quite to need to be. It's just, you really have to. If Mina says it's bad, then it's bad, and that's initially in the episode. So
I think AJ fell in love with Mina from the beginning. Because seriously, he was at least impressed with her.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I love Mina and AJ's chemistry from the beginning.
I have to.
Like from the moment at the screen, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome."
It was just like, I love how when Belle was trying to get her to show AJ around, that she's like, I'm not a welcome wagon. I'm not gonna, I'm meant for other things, but I do love the fact that she tried, and then she was honest with Belle. But the one of the other scenes was Nolan, when he was complaining to Belle about AJ in the operating room, and they were trying to save Bradley.
Yep.
Which, by the way, if AJ hadn't stepped in, Bradley would have died that day instead of when he did.
Yep.
So
AJ was like, AJ had like not a good bedside manner for at the beginning. He softened up a lot. I love him now.
He has.
And everybody respects him on the, in the hospital and stuff.
But our next topic, which is a major plot line to this episode and a major plot line for the part of this character, is Bradley, played by our one of our former guests, Stephen Reddington. And again, Stephen's interview, it's long, but it's a wonderful, it's long. even edited down, it's over an hour.
It's a bit rough.
The thing is about Bradley is, in this episode, it's revealed not only is he smoking to try to deal with the stresses of being a doctor, he's been drinking energy drinks, he has heart disease. Factors.
Yeah, that's what he. This is pretty much the beginning of it, because you remember he died from Quo Vadis device, the heart valve, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing about the heart disease or whatever is all tumble, like all started with this is how the whole Quo Vadis thing started. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Too, because this is how we found out he had heart disease.
But in the episode, Belle is like, no, he tried to kill himself, and but at the beginning of the episode, Bradley's like, I want to double date with Davin and Priya, and he's planning with Noni, and he's trying to make plans. And Davin's like, no, he wouldn't have been making plans if he was planning on killing himself, And Conrad, was listening to him, but they realized that all these things together caused Bradley to pass out and fall over through the skylight onto Belle's conference table.
Yep.
So
this is also when Stephen, one of my favorite scenes of the episode, and also Stephen's favorite, was Stephen did the monologue about the pressures that he felt from his family, and not like really wanting to be a doctor kind of thing, and like he's thought about jumping off the roof or whatever. He's thought about it before. So
but it wasn't that he actually did it. He didn't actually commit suicide. So tried to.
But Steven told us that it took like three takes. They did 3 takes. One where it was the close up of him, one where it was a close up of the other actors, and one was like a wide shot of everybody kind of thing. And James Roday Rodriguez, the director, went up to him and was like, okay, which would you want to do first? Do you want us to be on you first, or like everybody else, or whatever? Which Stephen was grateful for, but he was like, I'd rather go first because I already have the emotions and stuff like that put on me, and then like bring it on everybody else. But yeah, that was awesome hearing how that whole scene was filmed, because like I said, people are still talking about it now 2 years later and stuff.
And just the raw emotion that Stephen was able to portray and put into it, just that scene, like you want to cry with him, and
he carried that. It was like mostly about him. It was like even he said that, like he felt some sort of pressure on it because it was about him. It was all drama. There was no comedy. He always usually does comedy, puts in some comedy in the scene. So he was nervous about it. But it was his. He carried that scene. It was him. So.
Yep. And but because there's a part of that scene where Conrad goes, like, there's like he asks him, like, what do you want to do, or what do you want to be? And he's like, the answer for all the rest of us is I want to be a doctor. And Bradley could not answer that same question. And so they tried to convince him to say, look, this obviously isn't for you. And that's why Bradley left his residency and left being a doctor alone and went into medical device sales, and ended up being something that actually ended up his trust in the company ended up killing him. So
yeah.
But really the mad props to the prop master, because the way they did the thing that was sticking out of his chest and the cuts and just everything.
The Mario Davila, he was the props master. I remember the video of the tube on Steven's neck. There's this really, really funny video, behind the scenes video, that was filmed by the props guy, Mario. And it was the scene where they're spewing blood from the side of Steven's neck, Bradley's neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a tube, and they actually showed that where the tube, I guess like when you breathe into the tube or something,
mm-hmm.
and it moves. So there's this funny video where they're making the tube move while saying words too.
But so there's that, and then there's another plot line in this episode where Nick's continuing to fight Lane Hunter over the death of Lily. And this time, first off, Nick shows at the hospital because she heard about what happened to Bradley. So she's there to support her friend. And in the midst of all this, Lane is trying to stop Nick from figuring out what has happened in the past. What is she trying to hide? And Nick's trying to go to the Georgia Board of Medical Board. She's trying to do all these things, and they're trying to stop her and everything else. And then she goes to this other doctor that worked with Lane, and he pretty much tells her, run now.
Yeah.
And
he went hiding. He went in hiding.
Yeah.
I don't know what him, but he went like incognito and stuff.
But there was this guy, and he was following Nick, and he got her license plate and delivered her some of her groceries, which, by the way, is creepy as crap because she didn't, she didn't get her groceries delivered. But she goes in the house and calls Conrad immediately.
Yeah. And I'd have called the cops.
I would have called the cops too, but she's obviously worried, and she knows Conrad can, at least be there for it. And he's like, no, get your stuff. You're coming to my place. That way you're not alone. But there's, at the end of the episode, there's this, I guess there's someone, a private investigator, and they got photos of them hugging or something inside the apartment. So now that this private investigator knows that Conrad's connected too, which, by the way, if he talked to Lane, he would have known that. But anyway, so there's some Nick storyline there, and it just keeps continuing up and building up until the finale. So.
Yeah. But I just feel like it's been so long ago since that episode happened. I forget little things about the episode.
This is why the rewatches are so necessary this close to a season premiere, because you remember things that you forgot. I wish we could I wish we could have gotten through the rest of the season, or the rest of the series, but at least we're getting there.
Yeah.
Because season 1 does, they do throwbacks every now and then to the first season. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we only got like 2 more months before season 4 comes, so I'm happy.
Yeah, we're excited. We still do not have a release date, but when it gets announced, believe me, you will know. It will be on social media. It will be in the podcast. It will be everywhere. So, but right now, all we know is January 2021. So January 2021 is going to be a wonderful month, I think. Even with the pandemic still going on.
In the office, in the White House, we get a new president and vice president in the White House.
And a new show.
Huh?
And a new show, and a new season of our favorite show.
Yeah, January is like the awesomest month ever. But I was just happy. 2021 is already looking good.
Yes. So, we're sorry that these podcasts are so short, but again, they're filming and they can't really reveal much to us, so we can't really reveal much to y'all because we don't know anything either. We're fans just like you. So there's that. So with all that being,
for the Dawson's Creek fans, we do know that Kerr Smith is gonna be on the rest of Dawson's Creek fans. I don't he's done other projects other than Dawson's Creek, but I'm a huge Dawson's Creek fan. So Jack McPhee, Kerr Smith is coming back, is gonna be on the resident. We don't know if it's like a 1 episode thing or if it's gonna be a recurring thing, but he'll be at least guest starring on the resident. So yeah, I'm excited. For those who don't know, Kerr Smith was played the first gay character to have a kiss with another man on prime TV. But now, it happens all the time. But back in 98, when Dawson's Creek was happening, it was groundbreaking. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, our Patreon, for those of you who want to support the podcast monetarily, we do have a Patreon. You can go as little as $1 a month, and you can get BTS, and it goes up from there. You can get stickers and shirts and mugs and posters and stuff like that with our logo on it. And but the $1 a month will get you behind the scenes. And last week I did post a behind the scenes of how I make the graphics. So there's a little bit of something for you on there now, at least. Anyway, so there's that. It's patreon.com/The Resident Podcast. And our upcoming podcast, we have 3 more podcasts for the month of November. Episode 113 is next week. That's Run Doctor Run. And then the week of Thanksgiving will be 3/8, which is Peking Duck Day. We'll be celebrating Thanksgiving with AJ and his family. And then, of course, the 30th, which is the last day of November and the last Monday of November, we'll do the season 1 finale, which is episode 114, Total Eclipse of the Heart.
We get justice.
Yeah. Yeah. How to contact us. Our email, which is theresidentRulebreakers@gmail.com. We always like getting emails from people. We love seeing you like the podcast or you have input on something we talked about, whatever. Facebook. And we have a Facebook page, The Resident Rulebreakers Podcast. And then from the Facebook page, you can actually go to a Facebook group that we have called the Resident Fox Fans, and there's a little button that'll connect you. If you're not in the group, you can join, answer all 4 questions. And then in the group, we discuss things about the Resident, BTS photos, and you know, latest news, whatever the case may be. So it's a good place to keep up to date with the show.
Yep.
Anyway, so Instagram, at the Resident Podcast, and then or you can go to Camille's, and it's at the Resident on Fox Fans. Which, by the way, she usually does reshare a lot of our stuff. So there's that, and then of course mine is at KB Country 37. Our Twitter account, which is at Resident Podcast, we try to keep it up to date as the rest of our stuff, but sometimes we slip. So sorry about that. You can subscribe to the podcast on multiple platforms: Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio are all platforms that you can subscribe to and get an alert when we release. So there's that as well.
Yep.
Until next week, when we discuss episode 113, Run, Doctor, Run, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
Bye, guys.
Adios.